And so even if the United States were to find its vessels, say, stuck in the Indian Ocean, they have enough range to get out. The Chinese don't. And so I've never really been worried about the Chinese naval build-out. Let's talk about the Russians. The Russians aren't a naval power. They're not an air power. They're losing their space capability. Within a decade, pretty much everything that they have that's not ground-based is going to be gone. They just have lost the manufacturing base to maintain it, much less expand it. But they still have a large army, over 1 million men under arms, and every month they're bringing another 20 to 40,000 men into the fight. That's awful if you're on Russia's border, and that's the situation that the Ukrainians are struggling with right now. But if you're not on Russia's border, it's actually not all that bad, because you have standoff distance where you can use drones and air power. And if you're another country back, you really don't have to worry about the tanks coming either. By the way, the Russians have almost run out of tanks, which is crazy. They started this war with like 20,000 armored vehicles. They're down to probably less than a quarter of that now. Anyway, bottom line is that their exposure is huge, but their ability to push back that exposure is very, very limited. And their ability to use naval forces to project power is basically zero now. They still have a handful of ships, but they're split into 4 different bodies of water. The Black Sea, where they can't get past Istanbul unless the Turks allow them, and anything that does get past, if relations with the Turks go south, that's lost. They've got the Baltic Sea, but that is now completely a NATO lake at this point. They've got the Arctic Sea, which is their most powerful fleet is up there, but the problem is it's a long way from anywhere, and they have to get by Norway and Iceland and Scotland and the United Kingdom and the United States, all of which are superior naval powers on that body. Well, not Iceland. Iceland doesn't have a military. But everybody else could probably do it by themselves at this point, even without the United States. And then they have the Pacific Fleet that is based out of Petropavlovsk, which is basically a city you can only fly to on Kamchatka Peninsula. And of course, the Japanese are there. They could potentially base some things in Kotka or Vladivostok, but that is literally surrounded by Japan, world's second most powerful navy. And even if all of the Russian ships were in the same place, the Japanese could still easily take them out because they've done that before. So the ability of the United States to project power is huge, in part because of its geography, but also because of its allies. The Chinese are blocked in by geography, the Russians are blocked in by geography, and neither of them have allies. So we're in this weird situation where the United States is considering a full-scale withdrawal from everything, which will guarantee higher defense costs and longer long-term security challenges. This is one of the things that the people who are really pro-isolation tend to miss, that the footprint that we have right now is almost perfectly optimized to not have to spend money or lives